Hey guys, okay, we're gonna try this again. We had a signal issue. So I'm Nomiki. I'm the new investigative reporter with the Young Turks, and so many of you have been asking us, what's the first story I'm working on? Well, I am out here in North Chicago right now, working on a story that was reported at the end of December during the holidays, and not a lot of people saw what was happening, about an area of North Chicago called Irving Park, where residents couldn't consume their water. They were, water was coming out of their sinks, their bathtubs, their toilets. It was spurting out. It was a pressure issue. It was going pop, 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 and water was splashing out, and it was coming out brown. They'd flush the toilets, they'd run the sinks, and it continued to be brown. And these residents had been complaining, some have been complaining for months, and the water management for the city of Chicago was not getting back to them, or was saying it was nothing and to call a plumber. So we have been here in North Chicago trying to get to the bottom of this. The city of Chicago has said that the water is now safe to consume, and that they, as soon as the media reported this, a local news channel reported this at the end of December, that is when the water management came in and said, okay, we're checking it out. This is after months of complaints by citizens in the neighborhood. So they came down here and said that they were doing some tests and told everybody that they'd know within 48 hours. Well, supposedly they did these tests, and none of the citizens so far in our reporting, none of these residents in the neighborhood have received the tests. They don't know what's in the tests. They don't know whether or not the water that they were drinking and using for months was something that was safe. Did it have chemicals in it? What was in it? I don't know. But what they were told was that the water is now safe to consume. They turned around within 48 hours and said, okay, you can drink the water now. And they blamed it on a car wash down the street that hadn't installed a pump properly with a backflow. They had cut the costs. Now that might be true. That could actually be a situation where it would affect, for all we know, the water pressure, but it doesn't necessarily answer some other questions about why the water was brown, why the city didn't respond, and why the city is not sharing the test results. So what we did today and yesterday was we've been interviewing people in the neighborhood. We tried to interview the car wash owners. They're not getting back to us. They shut down the car wash. The city's not being responsive. We've left messages, but we did go to an alderman's office who kind of blew it off as if it was nothing and that he saved the day. That'll be in our report when you see it. We talked to some residents, the reporter, and I'm hoping that we can get the results, at least through FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act, to get the results of the water tests. But also we went in and we took some water samples. Now, the problem is the city told everybody to drain their water heaters. Drain everything. Now that could be to protect them from what could have been dangerous water or contaminated water, but it also could be to cover their butts so that they could actually deal with the issue, which, you know, for all we know, was a liability of the cities. They didn't respond right away. There have been complaints for months. And so to blame it on the car wash, which did break the law or you know, didn't abide by local rules and regulations, does that mean that the car wash is responsible for contaminated water for months? We don't know. We're trying to get to the bottom of this. But bottom line is there are issues like this all across the country. And there are a few things that stand out in most of these communities, whether it's lead seeping into water supplies or the water in the community, because there's been, you know, industrial waste spills, or, you know, buildings built on Superfund sites, or the government not testing the water or privatizing the water. There's so many reasons why this happens, but a few things we know for sure are happening everywhere. Cities are trying to cut costs. They cannot afford the infrastructure. It's been, in some communities, over 100 years since they've changed the pipes out or cleaned the pipes out, and they can't afford to maintain the pipes. They cannot afford to maintain the water. So they're selling off water rights or water management to private companies. And of course, you know, we know where it goes there. The other thing that we know is that they're not being responsive. The city knows that because they can't manage their own water, or municipalities or states, it doesn't matter if you're in a red state or a blue state, it's expensive. And if they can't keep up with it, there are going to be more problems. And so it might be that they're ignoring problems until there's something that they can't ignore anymore, so that they escape liability, or so that they don't have to respond and pay for, you know, cleaning up a pipe or pulling apart a street so they can get in there and rebuild a pipe. This is a major problem. This is a major problem across America, and every community is dealing with it in different ways based on the politics of that community. Chicago prides itself in its public services. It is a democratically led, Democratic Big D led city, and unlike Indiana, right, you know, just their neighbors to the east, that's a Republican-controlled state. And we know what Jordan Sheridan has been able to uncover in East Chicago, only an hour away, which is very different, and a lot of that has to do with politics. So we want to know, are you having problems in your community? This is happening everywhere, and this is just another situation where until reporters came out here and talked as well. Thank you, and I look forward to becoming good friends with all of you on social media. I'm Nomiki for the Young Turks, investigative reporter here in North Chicago right now.